Maybe we're all crazy.
What's up guys, Jim here. Today I'm going to tell you about an awesome ghost town called Amboy, California. It's a little town right along Route 66 with a population of only 4 people. If you're in Southern California, you should definitely check this place out. It is pretty awesome. Amboy is made up of about a dozen or so buildings, and most are situated around a short stretch of highway. Nearly all of them are totally abandoned. When you pull into Amboy, the first thing you'll notice is the iconic sign for Roy's Motel and Cafe, the town's most famous landmark. And right next door to that is a tiny airstrip. Rumor has it Harrison Ford used to use it all the time when he'd fly into town and grab lunch at Roy's Cafe. The old motel building behind Roy's is the only part of town that's fenced off and has no trespassing signs. Looks like it's currently being used for storage. And there's also a couple of old cars parked inside the fence. Further back from the highway is a little neighborhood of about 4 houses. They've all been pretty thoroughly vandalized and torn apart by scrappers, but there are a few interesting artifacts left to check out. This mysterious coffin, for instance. And there's also a work shed full of old tools and a bunch of decaying junk. The little white cottages right along the highway are pretty much wide open, and they still contain some props from the 2010 movie Beneath the Dark, which was filmed in Amboy. They're a little creepy, especially if you go there around dark, and it looks like nobody has really vandalized or messed with the movie props. So you can check out a piece of B-movie history if you want. Across the highway is a little church and a rectory, which have somehow remained mostly untouched by vandals and scrappers. Sorry about the grainy pictures here. I was running out of daylight and the camera I used wasn't great at handling low light conditions. But you can see in here the church is pretty much intact. The seating arrangement is a little unusual. Amboy also has an abandoned school, which looks like something out of a horror movie, which is probably why they decided to shoot one there. Tons of old books and furniture are scattered throughout the rooms and hallways, and there's still a couple artifacts in there from the movie that was shot there a few years back. If you're going to check out the school, definitely bring a flashlight. It's very dark in there, which is why these pictures turned out so grainy. But at least you kind of have an idea of what it looks like. So a little bit of history about the place. Amboy was originally settled in 1858, but didn't officially become a town until 1883 when a railroad station was built there. The opening of Route 66 in 1926 brought a lot of tourism and traffic to Amboy, and it became a pretty important stopping point for people crossing the Mojave. In 1938, Roy Crowell, the owner of the town, opened Roy's Motel and Cafe, which did a lot of business because it was the only gas station and lodging for miles around. The opening of Interstate 40 in 1973 diverted the majority of traffic away from Amboy, resulting in the town's decline. Amboy was bought by investors and changed hands several times over the years before Albert Okura purchased it in 2005 with the intention of preserving the town and opening a museum. When I pulled into town, I was pretty excited to see that Roy's Cafe had indeed reopened. I pictured myself sitting at the lunch counter, sipping on a malt and enjoying a burger and fries, like so many a traveler had done during the heyday of Route 66. Unfortunately, in its new incarnation, Roy's Cafe no longer has a functioning kitchen. It's pretty much just a gift shop now. So if you're thinking of visiting Amboy, I've got a couple of tips for you. First off, I highly recommend starting your trip in 29 Palms, which is a military town about 45 minutes south of Amboy, just north of Joshua Tree National Park. It's about a 48-mile drive through bleak desertscape, but it's definitely worth it. There are an unbelievable number of abandoned houses scattered along the highway. As much as I wanted to stop and explore each of them, there were just way too many, and I realized I'd never get to Amboy before dark. So I made a couple quick stops at the most interesting ones and snapped some pictures of others from the car. I had to get a photo of this strange sign that stood in front of what appeared to be an abandoned ranch. At one point the road makes a 90-degree turn and then continues northward along Bristol Dry Lake, which is a huge salt flat. Like the Salton Sea, it accumulates agricultural runoff and has no outlet due to its low elevation. The result is an interesting salt-crusted landscape. The salt is so ubiquitous it could be mistaken for frost or chunks of ice if it weren't in the middle of a scorching desert. There are also some pretty neat evaporation ponds that are definitely worth checking out if you've got time to stop. Well guys, that's all I know about Amboy. Have any of you guys ever been there, or are you thinking of going? If so, please leave me a comment down in the comment section below. While you're at it, you may as well subscribe, hit the like button, and feel free to share this video on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr, whatever you want. Also, check out my blog, placesthatwere.com, to find out about even more awesome abandoned places across the US. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, take it easy.